An event of unexpected proportions just occurred in North Korea. A strong show of force was intended to take place, but the unexpected happened, and no one saw it coming. The entire planet is now asking the same question. How can a single launch result in this much embarrassment for perhaps the most secretive of nations on the planet? Before we unveil what transpired and why the aftermath is captivating everyone, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you will always be in the know about the truth behind the headlines. This time was different. North Korea's plans did not go accordingly to how they had wanted them to go. And the reason might surprise you. When the sky above Pyongyang suddenly burst into flame. This episode did not begin with warning, but rather with a flash that lit up the early morning sky. For a brief moment, the silence above North Korea was shattered as a blazing fireball streaked across the clouds. Observers might have thought they were seeing another excited display of strength, but within seconds, the flash faded and the roar passed. Later, South Korea's military checked in and confirmed that North Korea had attempted to launch a projectile from the Sunan area just outside Pyongyang. The missile, after all, had failed as soon as it left the ground, arguably one of the province's biggest public failures in years. Riddle of the failed launch. If this was a display of strength, however, it raised more questions than it answered. South Korean authorities characterized the flying object only as an unidentified projectile, while Japanese media said it was possibly a ballistic missile. Thus, curiosity began to build, because North Korea had not released a statement yet. The regime enjoys acknowledging its successes, while when it fails, it just disappears and makes it seem like it never happened. A concealed intent behind the fireworks. If the launch was tied to an escalating North Korean intercontinental missile program, then the failure may not be as straightforward as it appears. US and South Korean officials believe Pyongyang may be masking legitimate weapons building behind these alleged satellite capabilities. Even a failed launch may advance its technology and move its scientists closer to their intended purpose. Reflections of a troubling time. In reply, the U.S. carried out more robust air defense exercises in South Korea and repositioned an aircraft carrier into the adjacent Yellow Sea. While the shift demonstrated American resolve, it also rekindled memories of 2017 when North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and then President Donald Trump exchanged fiery threats that brought the world closer to the brink of war. What awaits in the days ahead? If North Korea continues this pace of testing, then tension in the region will only increase. The country has already struck more than a dozen targets just this year, and each one, even failed tests, will inch the country closer to perfecting a system the world hopes to never see implemented. Journey further into North Korea's unyielding aspiration. The saga continues, and inside North Korea, the situation takes its toll. The nation's efforts towards developing missiles have not waned for a single soul. Each test appears to build on the last, creating a pattern suggesting both ambition and counterintelligence. Up to now in 2022, North Korea has launched or attempted to launch a total of 14 missiles in 10 different test series. If you scrutinize the timeline here, these are not random experiments. They are transactional progress towards a much more important purpose articulated by Kim Jong-un last year, with the purpose of developing his nation's strategic arsenal. A satellite that may not be what it seems. North Korea has stated that it is planning to develop a military spy satellite. And while the plan sounds banal, like other technological ventures, the reality may be nothing like it. If, in fact, This operation uses the same enormous intercontinental missile the U.S. suspects that it may use. The spy satellite could be yet another test of weapons. So, what we think is progress in space may actually be a sophisticated issue to develop a military weapon. The rising mystery of the Hwasong-17. Of all the weapons in North Korea's arsenal, one has captivated worldwide audience more than any other. The Hwasong-17, first seen in public in 2020 at the country's military parade, and a few months later at the private launch facility, is believed to be capable of carrying multiple nuclear warheads. And, if that's true, it could be sufficient to overwhelm the air defenses of the United States and its allies. Therefore, every mention of the Hwasong-17 reignites anxieties for international observers. A failure that may lead to a greater failure. However, despite its newfound confidence, North Korea's most recent endeavor has officially ended in failure again. Experts remain uncertain about what transpired, and yet, if failures are simply disguised lessons, each failure may bring the world closer to a massive failure it is not ready for. As the plot thickens, a précis of the failed launch. As investigations progress, details have emerged of the failed missile launch by North Korea. And contrary to what many might have assumed, the reports did not originate from South Korea, but from Japan. That fact alone tells another story. If Japanese intelligence detected that launch when it occurred, the missile must not have climbed above the altitude that would put it on South Korean radar. In the opinion of Joshua Pollack, a researcher at the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, this fact suggests the missile failed almost instantaneously after ignition and before its ascent beyond the horizon. If true, the failed test may have literally ended before it even began. Learned lessons. This is not the first time North Korea has found itself embarrassed by a failed test. North Korea underwent a string of significant missile failures in 2017 after all. The country has even faced troubles with shorter-range launches in the years since that time. While it has been some time since any high-profile failures have occurred, experts are quick to say that missile malfunctions like these are hardly rare. In the design phase of missile development, even the smallest design flaw can unravel months of development. Pollack described much depends on the level of advancement a technology has reached. But even for the most advanced systems, reliability is never assured. None of these things are failure-proof, he stressed. So, while North Korea's more recent setback might be viewed as embarrassing, the test, failure, and rethink phenomenon serves as a good reminder that it is just part of the process. Failure as a launch pad. If someone were to put the failed launch into the reject pile as a trivial, irrelevant mistake, this would be a severe misreading. John Lee, a senior fellow at the Wilson Center in Washington, cautioned glibly against this approach to these events. She said, "Each test, whether it ends in failure, gives North Korean scientists evidence to test and improve upon their next failure," or words to that effect. Thus, they're closer, with every failure, to running a successful test. Her observation rang with a chilling truth. If every failure enhances their knowledge, this failure is not the stop to something. It may very well be the beginning of something better. The hazards underneath. The unsuccessful launch occurred in the Sunan district of Pyongyang, next to the locations of past tests that leveraged the runway of an international airport. If the missile had flown one of the specific paths, the flight would have crossed populated areas of land, which is deeply concerning by itself. This would not be the first instance a North Korean missile has threatened its own people. In 2018, an intermediate-range missile called Hwasong-12 malfunctioned shortly after launch and crashed in the city of Tokchon, which analysts confirmed after spotting the launch site in satellite imagery. If the same catastrophic incident had merely repeated the same mistakes as the previous incidents, it could have resulted in disastrous consequences. A danger beyond borders. But the danger doesn't end with North Korea. Unannounced missile launches present a significant threat to international civil aviation. As reported by the International Civil Aviation Association, each unannounced missile launch increases the risk for civilian aircraft operating routes in proximity to the flight path. In a statement issued to the press on Tuesday, the organization reminded North Korea that, as a member of the UN Aviation Organization, it has a responsibility to notify neighboring nations of any activities that may affect the safety of international air navigation. So, the silent launches represent not only a military act, but a breach of international responsibility, an escalating percentage on a global scale. If North Korea doesn't heed these warnings, then the threat does not only extend beyond the Korean peninsula, but could easily involve a difference in professional esteem. It is certainly conceivable that may seem to be a national test could quickly escalate into an international crisis. Each missile does not achieve its destination, sometimes multiple at a time, and all safety protocols are flouted, contributing to instability. In light of this, while we have experienced the missile never arrived in the sky, the failure has nonetheless